All right, we are live again here, Martial Power Monday. Welcome to it, y'all. Give me a second here for me to hit a bunch of signals. Get my screen in place here with all my rigamaroo so we can make this day happen. Just gotta check my signal here real quick. Sounds pretty signally to me. Okay, cool. And then if you check down in the doobie down below, you'll see my Twitter link where I just posted to. There's also the Patreon link. You don't have to be a member to get access to this playtest content, but that is where I have it held at. So be welcome to dive into that document. And I'll be joining you in that document here in just a few minutes, as soon as I get done punching all the signals to the different discords that I like hanging out at. That's I like to think that they're all friends and stuff, except for the AD&D Discord. I think there's too many people there for me to claim that they're actually all friends or not. But it's certainly awesome being there. So there's also in the link down below is the link to all the various books that I have published on the DMsGuild, and you'll notice that you can read all of them cover to cover before deciding if you actually want to purchase them. So if you want to play through an entire campaign using my mechanics before you decide that they're well executed and serve your needs, you're welcome to do so. But if you just want to support me because you do, then happily accepting that. There's a ton of artwork that's going to be coming down the pipe, and that's going to eat up a lot of time. So what we're going to be seeing on the stream is I've got the Eberron adventure that is just now going, it's being play tested by DMs right now. It's going to be going into final edits here probably at the end of August. We've got the In Command project. We're playtesting vehicle combat right now, and we'll be back here next week. I think it's next week. Whenever Spelljammer drops on D&D Beyond for public access, we'll be taking time to translate Spelljammer, the Spelljammer book, basically everything that got in there into the In Command system. And it probably won't take that long. If it's similar to Saltmarsh, it'll be really easy to convert all this stuff. Most of the preliminary work is done, so I'm looking forward to just solidifying and codifying what they present in there to make sure it jives with what we have. And then there is the actual Martial Powers project, which is what we're working on right now. And we put in about an hour or two a week into the stream, but then we take the ideas that we get out of there and we drop them into my playtest team, which is currently 16th level that we play weekly. But if you're interested in using Martial Powers as well, it's as easy as following the Discord link down below to click into it to get to this open playtest content that we are now looking at. This is obviously not the final format because that would mean I couldn't use it on DMsGuild, but just the raw ideas we're throwing in here. So this week, we're playing with magic items, or rather power gear, since these are martial powers and you channel powers instead of casting spells. These things don't need VSM. It's all action triggered. So one of the big advantages that martial type classes have that spellcasters don't is that it's easy bake for them to be able to wield things two hands, or have two-handed things for them to be able to just unleash or channel mana through themselves as they perform actions to trigger the martial powers that they have learned or have chosen to learn each level. And so the gear that we build to store those powers or to generate mana for them to use those powers isn't going to be very different from what we've seen before. But this is just the ideation that we do. So we're going to go with power gear. We're going to blurp. And NAC was kind enough to teach me how to properly scaffold the titles, subtitles, stuff like that, but I haven't quite gotten to that level of sophistication in my Google Doc work yet. So work in progress, but YouTube likes to hear in the algorithms Martial Powers 23 mechanic design work for magic items, which is power gear. So serving the algorithm serves us all. Like, subscribe, share, follow, and see me around. So without further ado, let's go with some ideas here. So let's see. I'm going to scroll up to the Artificer to make sure that I've got similar structure already flowing into this thing. Hold on. Warlock variant, Artificer variant. Item. Rarity. Common. Uncommon. Rare. Rare. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. So, mana crystals is the only thing that I have listed there. So let's build out some stuff. Beep 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 beep. Power weapons, power crystal, mox crystal. Out of here, yes, scallywag. Okay, so let's see. Disciplines are exploits, maneuvers, action, reactions, strikes, sustained. So, the initial take that we're going on here is that we have the list of 150 some odd powers, and now we want to drop them into gear. So we've got we have power weapons, we have power crystals. And then miscellaneous gear. Let's see if I can scaffold this good. Rarity. No. Rarity is common. Uncommon. Rare, very rare. Legendary. Now let's make this a little bigger. And put in some commentary. Let's see. Channel powers. Let's see. When a character that can channel powers is attuned to a mana crystal, while the item remains in their possession, it provides additional mana as this is horrible text. So the total amount of mana that can be regained is determined by the rarity of the crystal possessed. Mana in the crystal is regained. The crystal replenishes its mana the total amount of mana that can be regained, the total mana and the total amount of mana the crystal can hold, and it currently holds That's 13. So let's see here. All right, so yeah, the mana crystal. It's just I should probably note. Let's see. You can. There. So the idea there is that it regains mana. It doesn't give you extra mana. It regains mana. So let's see. The crystal replenishes this mana. You can regain spent mana from the crystal by there we go, up to your total mana. So if you have 5 mana and you have a very rare item that has 5 mana in it, you can hold the item, and as a bonus action, you can gain 1 point, 2 point, up to 5 points since you're missing 5 points. If you have 2 crystals, one has 3 and one has 2, you can use a bonus action to get 3 from this one, and then a bonus action to get 2 from this one. You would not get a bonus action to get 5 from both. You can have 15 crystal. I mean, well, you can only attune to them. I guess if you're an artificer, you can attune up to 6 of them. So if an artificer is creating mana crystals and has 6 of them made, and each of them is very rare, the best that an artificer can do is produce a very rare item, not legendary. So very rare, up to 5, 6 of them 5. A artificer can potentially create up to 6 crystals that they would be able to attune to themselves, giving them a stack of an extra 30 mana that they can potentially regain from these crystals. But again, they have to burn down their own mana pool to replenish it with these mana crystals. So there you go. Let's see, power weapons. Go with weapons can be empowered with strikes. Character that can channel powers attunes they see, they can channel the strike power. Even if you don't know the power, if the channeled power requires more mana than you currently have, you can't channel the power as normal. Determined by the rarity of the item. If a character that can channel powers attunes to a power weapon, they can channel the weapon's strike power by spending an amount of mana equal to the rank of the weapon's power. Even if you don't know the power or if the rank of the power is higher than their max rank. If the channeled power requires more mana than you currently have, you can't channel the power as normal. So let's go into the DMG. Let's go into 5e Vorpal Sword. Let's see. Legendary. Requires attunement. Yeah, +3 bonus and does all the blip blop. Cool. So you don't have to be attuned to gain the raw +1, 2, or 3 bonus, but you do have to be attuned. Strike rank. Boop, 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 boop. Or to combine the weapons strike power with any additional strikes you know. To increase the power of the weapon strike, to combine the weapon strike's power with any additional strikes you know. Let's see. The thought that I'm having is, okay, so the idea here is that if you are attuned to it, you can use it as though it is a channel, it is a power you know. But what if you aren't attuned and you just want to be able to use it? You have the power bonus 1 to 3. But I'm also thinking that, like, if you aren't attuned or you don't want to spend any mana on the power, you can still use it. It would just be a D4 instead of a D6, but that clashes with the ranged range strike that you get with ranged weapons. Ranged weapons do a D4 unless you have a sustained power or a class feature that allows the weapon to deal as much damage, to use the same power die as your melee attacks do. So everything uses the same die except for ranged weapon attacks. And I am not I am not satisfied with that. I like the idea. The argument is that barbarians and paladins are limited to melee reach options because it limits their versatility on the battlefield and provides more option. It helps weigh in favor of melee standing out against ranged attacks. Assuming you don't have guns in your campaign, you're not doing 6d10 force damage per shot, and everyone's using just normal D&D fantasy tech, then your melee damage is going to get hyped more using brutal critical or smite, divine smite, than what a ranged attack would let you, which is none. But we wanted to open the door to channeling strikes through ranged attacks. Like thrown weapons are melee weapons, so they automatically get the D6 base, D6 to D10. Ranged weapons like bows and stuff are knocked down. You can still... I'll look at the wording of the paladin real quick because that makes a difference. 5e paladin. Pa-pa-pa-pow. Pa-pa-pa-pa-paladin. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Features. Let's go look at Divine Smite and verify if it's an attack with a melee weapon or if it's a melee attack with a weapon. Significant difference there, and we'll look at the difference once we get there. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack. All right, so it's a melee weapon attack. It's not an attack with a melee weapon, which would allow for thrown weapons. It has to be a melee weapon attack. So let's make sure that our paladin language is parroting that melee weapon attack caveat for the power smite or divine power. I think we're calling it divine power now. Through a melee weapon attack. All melee weapon attack damage rolls deal 1 additional power die of weapon or radiant damage. Choose one creature type and list below. When you channel a strike power against the creature type you have chosen, you deal 1 additional power die of damage. This could be a weapon. Through a melee weapon attack against the creature type you have chosen, you deal 1 additional power die of damage. This can be weapon or radiant damage or the same type as the strike. Choose a second creature type at 11th. There. Okay, cool. That cleaned up that language. So when we go back down to the weapon, let's look at Ranger. I may be updating this again. The playtest that we've been doing has been using the Ranger, using the normal power die. We haven't even reduced the damage on the Ranger. And it's been playing fine. I recognize that we are... I'm going to... I don't like the complication of reducing the die. I like the idea of classes that can't channel power can use these weapons with a default D4 damage. Like you can use it anyway, but it's a D4. That is like the unattuned version of it. Like it can always do D4 of whatever the power is. Whew, man, I kind of like that. Or if you attune to it and you don't have martial power, then it would grant you a default D4. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. It's kind of like a cantrip almost, doing that D4. Oh man, I kind of like that idea. I'm trying to think of logistics here. If we were to leave martial powers as a melee weapon attack that you could then expand to use with thrown or ranged weapon attacks. It would require maintaining concentration on you'd have to sustain a power that grants you Okay, so what I'm thinking is we rebuild thrown weapon and ranged weapon into a single sustained power that when you lock it, it allows you to create additional ammo as part of the attack that disappears when it hits the target. I'm kind of okay with that. And I'm kind of okay with the D4 being the default damage. Yeah, I think I'm okay with thrown and ranged weapons just having a default D4 unless you have a sustained power or class feature that allows you to use your actual power die. That would... Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. All right. Well, we're derailing here because we were working on magic items, but now we're realizing that there's some inconsistency in the mechanics here that we need to staple down. So this is I can come down here to the actual dock. Let's see. Resolve. Melee weapon attack versus thrown and ranged weapon attacks. For powers. D4 default. Powers increase. Okay, so your default power die is going to be a D4. If you don't have any, if you can't channel martial powers at all, but you gain access to a martial power, it's going to be a D4. And the power weapons, if you're not attuned, deal an automatic D4, and you don't have to spend any mana on it. I think I'm okay with that. So then I just have to come back through, sweep through the dock, and so that means we're going to need to fix fighter, fix ranger, fixed non-melee weapon rules. Yeah, so I can come back to it and I can fix that. That's not too heavy a lift. But it is 140, so let's just keep kicking through the gear. We'll do all this cleanup stuff in the back end. I'm liking this. I'm liking how this is cleaning up. Hey, Flutes, how you doing, my man? Let's see. So we're looking at the character that can channel powers attunes to a power weapon. They can channel the weapon's strike power by spending an amount of mana equal to the rank of the weapon's strike power, even if you don't know that power, or if the rank of the power is higher than your max rank. Than your normal max rank. Channeled power requires more mana than you currently have. You can't channel power as normal. When channeling a strike power through power weapons, you can spend additional mana up to your max channel limit to increase the power of the weapon's strike, or to combine the weapon's strike power with any additional strikes you know as normal. Period. If Good to hear it, man. Glad to hear it. Let's see. Let's see. Like if it's a 4th rank power, like say okay, well there's the hiccup because there are no 5th rank strikes. There's just it only goes up to 4th, so that seems a little silly. Huh. Power weapon, let's look at the mana crystal. Mana crystal, that curve's okay. You can attune and keep multiple mana crystals in your possession because this just replenishes spent mana. And you can only take out of the crystal as much as you've lost. So there is no necessary cap on these things. So that curve's okay. But the weapon, you can't use the strike. You can't... Strike rank. D6, D8, D10. My brain is freezing because I'm trying to. I've got attunement here that you have to be attuned to use the strike power. Like for example, if this power weapon has freezing strike in it, which is a 1st rank power, which therefore makes it a common magic item. Your weapon would have a +1 to hit and damage, like you would expect a magic item to have. And it can channel the freezing strike power, which is your weapon deals cold damage. You deal an additional mana. You deal an additional number of power dice of damage equal to the amount of mana that you invest into it. And since Freezing Strike is a 1st rank power, it only requires 1 mana to use it. So if you spend 1 mana, you can use the striking power. It's like, say, your 1st level, you're using a D6. It would be your weapon damage plus D6 damage. All of it can be freezing. And, of course, if they fail their saving throw, they can't take reactions until their next turn. No, that's Shocking Strike. Freezing Strike is half movement. But... they both work the same way. Shocking Strike deals electrical damage, while Freezing Strike deals cold damage. So you have to attune, and to attune you have to be able to channel powers. That immediately lets you access whatever rank power it is, and assuming you have enough mana to be able to channel that power with the amount of mana required. So. Strike rank, but the hiccup that we're having is that strikes cap at 4th rank, so there is no 5th rank power unto itself. It's just you can channel up to 5, but you can channel up to 5 on your own anyway. So strike rank 4. I guess that's how it shakes out. Oh wait. What if I go with strike rank 0 and make 0 a D4? D4, D6, D8, D10. But there is no D12. It just goes D6, D8, D10. What a noodle. 1, 1. I could do it like the same 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, but that feels. I mean, a legendary item really ought to be legendary. So. I could just do that. Let's see. What is the rarity? Let's go with back to top. Sources. Tools. Magic items. Let's go back to those game tools. Go to magic items. Let's see what we can find that way. What weapons? Weapons. Let's go over. Acheron's Blade, ammunition +2, Boomerang +2, Dagger of Blind Sight, proficiency with Dagger allows you to add your proficiency bonus attack roll for the attack to make with it. I know that. This rare magic item requires attunement. Creature attuned to it gains blind sight out to the range of 30 feet. Regards the sawtooth edge and the black pearl nested in its pommel. Proficiency with a dagger allows you to add your proficiency bonus to the attack rolls for any attack you make with it. Sure. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So rare is a +2 if at all. And I do note here that you don't necessarily have to grant a weapon attack damage bonus modifier. That's okay. But yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I think that curves out okay. Let's see. Power weapon requires attunement. Yeah, requires channeling class feature to. I know that's not the proper language, but that's what we're going with to make the makey sense. Crystal. Requires mana pool class feature to attune. Because both spellcasters and channelers have the mana pool class feature when you're using any of my mana stuff. So that remains consistent. So this is useful to both full casters as well as martial power channelers. I'm happy about that. Okay, that's good so far. I'm happy with that. I'm glad we did that. The +1, +2, +2, +3. Uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary. That actually feels pretty solid. I'm happy about that. Okay, cool. So let's see. We're at 146. How long have I been streaming? 55 minutes already. Holy biscuits. Okay, so we got about 15 some odd minutes. I'm going to set a timer here to make sure I don't go far over. I got a lot of stuff on my plate today, so I got to be tight on my time management. La 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 la. Coolio. Let's see if a character. So let's see. There is power weapons, mana crystals, power crystals, miscellaneous. Pretty simple list. Miscellaneous gear. Let's go with beep, beep, beep. Any item can hold any exploit, maneuver, reaction, go with, let's take a look at 5e flying boots. Winged boots, thanks. Does this require attunement? Requires attunement. Yeah. Any item can hold an exploit, maneuver, or reaction power. Each power an item holds can be used once. Regaining the use at sunrise each day. If attuned, let's see. If there we go. If a channeled is attuned to a creature that can channel powers, it can the powers held in the item are considered known to the attuned creature and can be spend mana to use the power repeatedly. Any item can hold an exploit, maneuver, or reaction power. Each power an item holds can be used once. At the minimum rank. Use once, channeled at the minimum rank. This is horrible language, but this is why I hire writers and editors. For me to throw this shit out there, for them to wordsmith it good so they get a cut of the pie. That's worth to me. All I gotta do is just make sure this stuff makes sense. Hey, Horneticum. Dude, we're doing great today, man. We're having a good day. Powers are flowing. Any items can hold any exploits, maneuvers, or reaction powers. Can hold any power from the exploit, maneuver, or reaction disciplines. Each power an item holds can be used once, comma, channel at the minimum rank, period. The power is regained at dawn. Each day, period. If the item is attuned to a creature that can channel powers, the powers held in the item are considered known to the attuned creature and can be used each time mana is spent to channel the power as normal, period. Renatico says, currently trying to relearn Roll20 from the DM side of things. Some of my players are heading to college soon, so in-person games won't be possible. Yeah, my college team dispersed to the winds as well. And I lost touch with them for like maybe 8 years. But then when Roll20 started becoming a thing, God knows how many years ago, that's when we all started reconnecting again. And I've been able to consistently game with my college friends using Roll20 since. I've got like 5,000 hours logged on it since its inception. So I can attest, it's a pretty good tool to use. I mean, you've hung out with me on virtual on VTT before playtesting and stuff, so you know it's a pretty easy tool to use. But yeah, good tool to learn, especially now that DMsGuild or OBS in general has thrown its weight behind Roll20. It would be the system to learn. Let's see, any item can hold any power from the exploit, maneuver, or reaction disciplines. Each power an item holds can be used once. By the attuned while in possession of the attuned creature using powers are gained at dawn on Monday. If the item is attuned to a creature that can channel powers, the powers held in the item are considered known to the attuned creature and can be used each time mana is spent to channel the power as normal. Let's see. Is there any other comments I actually need to make about? Oh. Item rarity. Power. Max. Power. Max rank. Common, uncommon, rare, very rare. Legendary. Because no power is higher than 4th rank. Even though every class can channel up to 5th rank powers using the system, none of the powers themselves are 5th rank. Which means that if you're using the Eldritch Knight or the Arcane Trickster out of the book as written, where they gain access to 4th level spells at 19th level, DM can still allow them to choose from the martial powers lists instead of known spell, instead of learning a spell, if you want to stay spell centric. And of course, you can use spell slots with these things. Just add up a number of spell slots to the rank of power that you want to channel, and it lets you do so. But we wanted to make sure that you would have access to the full milieu of abilities that this option allows by 13th level, because most of the WOTC content caps out at somewhere between 13th and 15th level. So if we have powers that you can only access at 17th level now that we recalibrated it to the half-casted hybrid model, few games actually get to 17th level, but WotC seems to think it's reasonable that you can get to 13th. So we wanted to make sure that everything inside this book is available to your characters to actually use while you're expected to actually be playing the game high-end 13th levels, when you gain access to 4th level spells as like a ranger, paladin, artificer. Thus, you can also gain access to 4th rank powers, and we just cap them at 4th rank. So if you can channel up to 5th rank, that means that you could take your 4th rank power and channel 5 mana into it to get a higher boosted effect. Or you could take a 4th rank power and a 1st rank, like strikes, for instance. You can combine strikes together. So you can take a 4th rank strike and a 1st rank strike, spend 5 mana, and use both of them at the same time. It'd still be using 5d10 dice, but you would be able to apply both the effects. Like if you use Shocking Strike and Paralytic Strike, for instance, it's kind of redundant. But they'd make the saving throw, and if they failed to save, then they could be paralyzed. They make 2 saves for the strike, for the Shocking Strike and the Paralyzing Strike. So if they fail the DC would be the same for both of them, whatever your stat plus prof is plus 10, like normal. 8 plus prof plus stat. It's just normal D&D stuff. But since you're channeling 2 powers, they'd make 2 saving throws, and they could potentially succeed the paralysis, fail the Shocking Strike. So even though they're not going to be paralyzed, they would lose their reactions that turn. But overall, they still took the 5d10 plus weapon damage plus bonuses or whatever, like Great Weapon Strike or whatever, Great Master or whatever boosts you got going on to deal your sick burn damage. Then you'd be able to apply that with this as well. But the point is that there's only one, like max ranks are 1 to 4. So it actually makes you can see it makes it a lot easier for you to curve stuff in. So item rarity, uncommon, rare, max rank 1, 2, 3, 4. That's miscellaneous gear. It can be any item, such as a weapon, armor, clothing, jewelry, a gem. Miscellaneous gear can be used while in the attuned creature's possession. It can be used while in attuned creature's possession if the item item is can be worn. It must be worn to channel. If the item can't be worn, it must be held to channel. Exploits don't require specific actions. Maneuvers require action or bonus action to trigger reactions. As described as detailed in each description above. I've clocked in enough online time just to think that I just need a good sales pitch to my players. But, dude, the sales pitch is, hey, you want to play D&D? Because all you gotta do is just show up with a computer and a microphone. Sit down and throw some dice, bastards. I mean, if they like your game, it's not that hard of a sales pitch. And that sounds kind of mean because it kind of implies if they say no, they don't like your game. It could just be they don't know. They don't know from fun. And that's not on you. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't difficult for us. I know a lot of tables that use Roll20 on tablets while in meat space because it's a hell of a lot easier just to set up the map and have the DM push stuff around than to take the giant chess X map on the table and then use your dry eraser each week and then worry about it having sat for too long between sessions or multiple sessions with the same map on it, and now it's been burned into your chess X screen. VTT is just freaking great, man. It is. I think VTT just has completely revolutionized the TTRPG game industry. It should be pretty evident by now to anyone like that's a no-brainer thought there, Phil. Real big brain going on. But no, seriously, it's just like it. Shit got real. It got really real. So you got power weapons that can channel strikes. You've got mana crystals that can hold mana. We've got miscellaneous gear that can hold exploits, maneuvers, and reactions. But we don't have anything for sustained yet, so that's what we're looking at. We're looking at sustained right now. Power gear, power weapons, mox crystals, miscellaneous gear. All right, let's go with sustained is its own sustainable gear. I don't know if that's the right word or not. That's what we're going with right now. How are we doing on time? Oof, we're running desperately low on time. That's cool. Sustainable gear. Fires attunement. Items enchanted with sustainable powers let's see. I hear you. 10 more minutes and we'll let it go. Item rarity is uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary. So how do I word smart that better? Okay, great. So if you're not a channeler and you attune to sustainable gear, then like you can see above, every single sustained power has a sustained option and a lock option. So if you were to, like, say, wear a vest of weapon resistance, when you attune to this item, you can choose one type of damage: bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. And you can gain resistance to the chosen type of damage. But if you are not a channeling character, if you don't have the channeling class feature, it automatically locks, which is you are resistant to all 3 damage types instead. But if you're a spellcaster, it still counts against your max rank. Weapon resistance is a 2nd rank power, which means that you gain it normally at 6th level. It's a rare item to have it because it's 2 mana to channel. So if you were, say, a spellcaster that donned a vest of weapon resistance, then it would lock it would reduce your max spell level by 2. So if you were a 6th level wizard donning a vest of weapon resistance which is a 2nd rank power that automatically locks when you wear it, you can wear it, it locks, it reduces your effective casting level by 2. If you are a channeler and you don this thing, you could choose to just simply sustain the effect that requires you to maintain concentration of 2, or you can let the thing automatically lock for you at no cost. Sustainable power gear. Miscellaneous power gear. Mana crystals. Power weapons. Power gear. Does that make sense? Maybe it's a little too complicated. Maybe the benefit... Let's see. Single power gear are items that channel a sustained effect. When attuned, the sustained locked effects. You can you can only have one locked effect active at a time, even if you're attuned to more than one sustainable You only have one locked effect active at a time, even if you're attuned to more than one item that sustains a power. You can choose which power is sustained as a bonus action during your turn. Any other the rank of the sustained power doesn't count against your max channel limits if you have the I'm gonna have to start including that garbage in on every one of them. Packed magic feature, spellcasting feature, or channeling feature. Does not count against your max channel limit if you have the channeling, spellcasting, or packed magic feature. You can only have one locked effect active at a time this way. Even if you've attuned to more than one item that sustains a power. You can choose which power to sustain. You can choose which power is sustained as a bonus action during your turn. If the sustainable power gear is attuned to a creature with the channeling that can channel power If the sustained power gear is attuned to a creature that can channel power, the sustained power can you can lock or maintain concentration on the power as normal up to your max channel, up to your max, channel limit. Just as a reminder, when you're sustaining a channeled power, it works just like a concentration spell. If it's a third rank power, then if like for example, if you are a 10th a 10th level paladin, for instance, and you can cast or channel up to third level or rank spells or powers, then you have access to third ranker spells, right? So if you, using the system, when you maintain concentration on, like, say, a first level spell or a first rank power, then it ties up one rank or spell level. It leaves two open. So you could have three first level like you could have like Bless, I don't know, Jump, and like Expeditious Retreat. Like those are three. I think those are all first three. I think those are all first level spells that all require concentration. So using the system, you'd be able to concentrate on all three of them. It would require you to tap 3 mana, and your concentration DC would increase to 13 or half damage, whichever one is higher, as opposed to the static concentration DC of 10 or half your half damage taken, whichever is higher. As you ratchet up more levels of concentration, the DC gets higher. And on top of it, whenever you're making a saving throw at all, like if I hit you with a Shocking Grasp and you want to make a saving throw to prevent you from losing reactions this round, if you botch your, in this instance, if you rolled a 12, that's below the DC 13, all your spells are dumped, whether or not you succeeded against the Shocking Grasp or not. So using this power, using the system, you could lock your mana instead. And if you lock your mana, it reduces your maximum casting or channeling level. So this 10th level paladin, if you were to lock a second rank power, it would leave you with only 1 mana open to cast or to maintain concentration on. So you can lock and maintain concentration for different abilities as you wish. You're the one that's mitigating your risk on that. You could lock all 3 levels of power. You could lock one of them, or if there's another one that requires 2, you could lock those 2 and leave the other one open. Or you could just leave all 3 of them open. If you don't lock any channels, you can continue using instant effects. Like if you're a 5th level wizard and you're sustaining haste, you can still throw instant fireballs while you're maintaining this haste. But if you were to lock haste and no longer have to maintain concentration on it, it drops your effective casting level 3 levels. So if you're only a 5th level wizard and you lock haste, you can't lose concentration. It could be dispelled and you could dismiss it, which would then burn it and end the effect. But you would be able to sustain it until you begin a long rest if nothing disrupts you. But it effectively lowers your casting level, so you, at that point, as a wizard, would only be able to cast cantrips. So there's a risk-reward system in there that's built into the martial powers system that when you lock things, you guarantee they're available, but it limits your options, which is why it's so cool to make martial powers available at first level. Because like a first-level fighter that's using martial powers system only has 1 mana per day. Who cares, right? Well, the reason why you care is because you could take as your first rank power, as the first power you gain, a sustained power. Lock it, and you effectively have that all day. I mean, you could also spend, you could also decide to pick up feats, just learn a bunch of feats instead, and eat up all your action economy that way, and not use your mana at all. But again, you could learn a martial power, and instead of sustaining it and potentially losing that in the first round of combat, you lose it for the day. You can instead, I don't have any. This is the only point of mana I have. I may as well lock my mana and carry on. So that's the thought process behind that. So I love what's Roneko saying. It looks like he's saying nice things to me. I love how the mana system is set up. I'm definitely gonna have to remake my first D&D character using these rules when they come out. Hey, use it now. And let me know what you think. We're loving it at 16th level. We didn't think of this until... I didn't actually start developing this until we were 10th level, though. So I haven't actually tested this on first through 9th level characters. But at 16th level, it's freaking awesome. So I would certainly love to have some of that feedback. I mean, the mana system in general, like color mana and universal points and stuff, we've used that at all levels of play, from first level up through 16th level right now. And we used the initial alpha format of it about 5 years ago in a 1-20 campaign, and our bard was using it to instead of spell slots. So and that went really well. So I mean, we've tested out the 20 points for a fighter or the 40 points for a ranger. We've been using that stuff for years, and it works great. It's just this particular power paradigm, we haven't had a lot of testing in at the 1st to 9th level. But from 10th level up to 16th level now, it's been crackerjack. So I encourage it. Yeah, dude. Go look in the description and click the Patreon link. It takes you directly to the it should be available for anyone to see. It's not like it's Patreon exclusive, but yeah, this is the Martial Powers right here. It says Martial Powers open playtest content. If you go to the Patreon link that I have in the description, click on that, and then click on the playtest content. It takes you directly to this document, and all this shit is here for you to use right now. So you're welcome to build a character. It's got all the crap built out. You can just use universal mana right now if you want. If you want to get into color paradigms or into elemental paradigms, you're welcome to. But the system's designed to work by default using universal spell points. Anytime you add elemental or color devotion, it limits your options. It actually makes your character less versatile. It's like intentionally nerfing yourself for the aesthetic of I want to play Rakdos, so I want black and red mana. All my stuff is going to channel through black and red, and so I'm going to devote some disciplines to red and some disciplines to black. And when I run out of black mana, all I can do are my red stuff until I can get more black back. But you can get black mana back on a short rest. You can switch out your entire color pool on a short rest with whatever you have left over. Also, per day, as a bonus action, you can just automatically switch what color mana is devoted to up to your proficiency modifier. So if you've got a +3 proficiency bonus per day as a bonus action, you can switch up to 3 mana over the course of the day to whatever color you need whenever you need it. So you can always squeeze out that first rank, second rank, first or 1 or 2 mana to get into the color that you want. Like if you're a cleric and you're suffering because you don't have enough mana left over for the cure spells that you normally use, like white or green, for instance, is pretty typical. Or you could just learn, how to cast Cure Wounds as, like, say, a black mana spell. If you're running out of the color that you need, you can just use your bonus action to, assuming you have any mana left, change it to the color that you need or the element that you need to be able to cast. But if you're just using universal spell points, it's all just generic, and you can use all the powers all the time, which is the most powerful way to use spell points. What really got me excited about color mana, and all that stuff's in the DMsGuild link in the description below, but what really got me excited about the color mana system is that how it automatically knocks down the full casters from being exponential growth compared to linear growth. It makes them like more geometric instead of linear. Instead of exponential, they become geometric, in that they have a ton of options, but now they have to decide, how do I want to allocate my colors or my elements to properly align with the kind of spells I want to cast. If all I want to do are cast white spells, then I can just dump all my mana into white. But that also means I need to know white spells only, which means I can either just learn a bunch of white spells and I'm happy with those, go spend money and time to research a non-white spell to become a white spell. Or if I'm preparing, or I'm a known caster, if I have a black spell but I want to make that spell white, instead of preparing the spell once, I can prepare the spell twice, once in the color it's supposed to be, and then I have that kicker cost. I can memorize it in any color that I want. Or if I'm like a sorcerer and I want to get all my spells red, so all I have to do is use red spells, but I want to learn a bunch of green spells to cast as red, instead of spending the time and money to research it, when I learn my spells at level up, I could choose to spend 2 learn slots to make that green spell red, so that I would have less spells available to me overall, but they would all use the same color mana. So my mana pool becomes a lot more versatile. It becomes universal, basically. But I'm paying extra, I'm paying utility to have that universal spell point, which is why I encourage people to use, like, pick a devotion. It doesn't have to be color. It doesn't have to be elemental. It could be mind, body, and soul. Or it could be light and dark, good and evil, law, chaos. As long as you have at least 2 to pick between, even just primary and secondary studies. As long as you're creating that division, you're heavily reducing the versatility of spell casting against skill and martial options in general. It's a really fun way. And the more you divide up your spell options between different spell colors or different elements, the more diluted your power becomes, because you're having to divide it up between these different elements. So that's anyway. It's just it was really, that's what I really liked about the color mana system in the first place, is that you can create that you can drop them from exponential down to a geometric growth, which is, in my opinion, if you've got like a wizard that's running geometric, and then you have like a fighter, give that fighter Eldritch Knight for free, and then give him another sustained class, another archetype. So your martial classes have 2 of them. One would be martial powers, and the other one would be whatever one you want. So you'd be able to stack those 2 together. And then a full caster just has its normal casting class. And then the hybrid classes, you can use martial powers, and they can have any blend of spells and powers from here. So instead of them having 60 spells to choose from, they have 60 spells and 150 powers to choose from. and they all get like smite, like all the strikes are like default smites. So you automatically amp up what all these classes can do and give them a ton of utility options, which gives you that same sort of geometric growth that full casters have. They just have a smaller battery because they have more martial options that are just always on, like extra attacks all the time. And if you go back up, like you can look at like the fighter, the barbarian, and the rogue all have options to regain, like if a barbarian takes a critical hit, every time a barbarian gets hit by a critical hit, he automatically gets a point of mana back. So that is encouraging the barbarian to do what the barbarian is supposed to do, which is frontline and take hits. So how does that go exactly? Channeling Rage, Furious Power, Brutal Fury. Was it Furious Power? No, it was... Oh, Empowered Wounds. At 6th level, as a reaction to taking damage on a critical hit or failing a saving throw that deals damage while raging, you can recover 1 spent fury up to your max fury limit. So every time you take a critical hit or every time you fail, and you could just choose to fail a saving throw. I'll take that damage because I want the mana back. So you can just keep recharging your batteries so that when you're doing brutal strikes, you can just dump mana in on top of it to really just amp up your smite. So it's cool. It's cool shit. And the fighter has a ton of free mana options. Like you can reduce the amount of attacks you make in an attack action, and you gain 1 point of free mana to channel into a strike for every attack that you ditch. So like I hit you my first attack, there's only one guy in the room I'm attacking anyway. Why would I want to make multiple attacks and potentially miss them when I could drop 2 attacks and get 2 free mana to spike up my smite damage immediately and just nail into this guy? Well, the answer may be, I think I'm going to be able to hit him 3 times, and each time I hit him, I can dump 3 mana into each one of them. So I can actually do 9 mana worth of damage to this guy this round if I can hit each attack. But if I'm like, I don't think I need to do that much, but I definitely want to drop him right now. So I could like drop 1 attack and amp it a little bit, and then try another attack and amp that one too off my own back. But then at higher levels, like the attack maneuvers, for example, you can start ditching attack actions to gain mana that you can then spend on maneuvers, which are like AOE effects or like ranged save effects. Like they don't rely on you hitting somebody. They're just shit that happens, and characters have to. They're like spells. You know, we've gone through some of this before. You know how this stuff is, but the elements and color mana types makes me really want to test those out. Yeah, you should. It's freaking fun. It's absolutely freaking fun. So definitely encourage it. And then the rogue can exchange its sneak attack dice either temporarily to increase his mana pool, or whenever you do a sneak attack, you can reduce the amount of sneak attack dice of damage that you deal to instead get free mana that you could then pump into a strike. Like you could do a stunning strike instead of dealing 4d6 damage, for instance. Like you can do your sneak attack, you hit, you drop your dice of damage, and instead you drop power in so that you can, like, say, stun or paralyze or blind or banish. Or you can just leave your sneak attack alone and just use your own mana to pay for it out of pocket. And then you can permanently knock down your sneak attack dice to increase your mana pool. But when you finish a short rest, you get all your sneak attack dice back, and any extra mana that was laying around is lost. So there's a lot of flexible options for the martial classes, and then the paladin channeling class features we have here, and then the ranger as well has options. I'm going through a retooling right now for the ranged throne and melee weapon attack stuff. That needs to be recalibrated, but I should have that done by this time next week for sure, if not later on tonight. Actually, tonight is Eberron adventure stuff, so probably tomorrow I should be able to have that stuff updated, certainly by Thursday. But if you go back to the beginning of the stream, I was having some come to Jesus moments about how much damage I was doing with the different powers. And I think I've found some improvements to keep moving forward. So I am over time at this point. Hornetico, you always drag me into committing more time or more playtesting or more thought into things that I thought I was going to. So I really appreciate that about you, sincerely. But B, I think I've gotten all the actual gear that I need right now. I only just needed those couple things: a mana bannery, a strike effect, a sustained effect, and then the other 3 disciplines of exploits, reactions, and maneuvers. Those can just be their own things. I mean, I could come out with like a billion different magic items and mix and match them, but that's not that real. I mean, if you know me and if you see my stuff, that is not my MO. Like, what I do is I build systems, and then like all these sustained powers, like any of these sustained powers you can drop into an item. It just doesn't make sense or not. Like a headband of blind sense is a lot cooler than a pocket watch of blind sense. You know, like, flavor is free, but it's valuable unto it. It's a quality of life sort of thing that goes into that. So I can come up and create a bunch of shit with y'all on the fly just to build some gear, just to have it. But that is not my current task. I just wanted to get through all this stuff. Also worth noting, at first level, when you don't really have a lot of mana, but you also don't have a lot of powers. Like, I think you get 2 powers at first level. Let's verify that. Might be 1 or 2. Total power is 2. And then it caps at 16 powers at 20th. So at first level, you have 2 powers. You only have, and like a fighter only has 1 mana, while a ranger and a paladin has 2 mana, right? So what you could do, since you only have 2 powers, instead of picking any of these powers, what you can do is you can pick from feats. So what I would recommend that you do is, since you get 2, I would recommend that you take 1 sustained power so you can lock it, and then with your other power, don't take with the other power that you learn, instead of learning a power, instead learn a feat that you need. And here is the list of currently acceptable feats and the level that you need to be to attain them. So like at level 1, you can pick up any of these things. And then at second level you gain at 6th level. So at 6th level, that's when you get like the really good stuff, Like at 6th level, I think it's okay for you to have, where is it? For frick's sake. Great Weapon Master, thank you. Like, that's like, you should be able to get that at 6th level, not a big issue. Like Crossbow Expert at 1st level, I'm cool with that. I mean, you're going to want to probably spend some feats on, like, if you're going to be a ranged guy, you're probably going to want to spend on Crossbow Expert anyway. So, and you can reset all your powers every level anyway. It's not like you only switch out one, you can switch them all out. That switching 1 per level, I think, is a really bad move. I think they're going to change that in 5.560, whatever they're going to call this thing. Whatever D&D worst is going to be. They're probably going to get rid of the change only 1 spell at level up. It should be change all spells at level up, just like you can prepare all spell slots, all your spells when you finish a long rest. You should be able to switch out your entire kit at level, which I do, which I just build in standard to all my mana stuff. But yeah, so at 1st level, 2 things, like you can pick up Crossbow Expert, and you could lock down like close combat so that you can use your ranged weapon as opportunity attacks, for instance. That's a really good kit for a 1st level character, a 1st level ranged character to pick out. But then as you gain like 2nd level, you've got 2 points of mana. You can still only channel 1st rank, so it means you can only still sustain 1 power. So instead, you could like sustain 1 power and then pick up 2 feats. Like you could pick up Crossbow Expert and Fighting Initiate, for instance. Why not? So these are different things that you can load out. I gotta head out soon, but it's always fun to talk with about these systems. Hell yeah, man! It's fun. And now that you know that the doc is out there, you can chew on it. If you've got any questions about stuff, it's still rough, like really rough. The mechanics are rough. Mechanics I'm going to come back through and clean up. But if you're going to test with it and you're going to use it, give me a shout. And if you need me to walk you through anything specifically, I happily will. And that will let me know what's missing right now, because getting good feedback from people is actually what I need right now. It's going to be a number of months before this is done, but we're really getting close on locking down the lists and the tables and the variables. So anyway, Miscellaneous power gear, sustainable power gear. Sustainable power gears are items that channel locked effects. The rank of the sustained power doesn't count against your max channel limit if you have the channeling, spellcasting, or impact feature. You can only have one locked effect active at a time this way, even if you're attuned to more than one item that sustains a power. You can choose which power is sustained as a bonus action during your turn. If the sustainable power gear is attuned to a creature that can channel power, you can choose to lock or maintain concentration on the power as normal up to your max channeling limit, instead of having the gear automatically lock. The level, there we go. The rank of power sustained. The rank of power sustained. The rank of power. The rank of power sustained by the gear is determined by the item's rarity. There you go. This is pod racing. There we go, dude. All right, so that's I mean, that is the core of power gear. Like, this is all you need for any infinite number of magic items. So we will come down here to the coming up. DM, use of martial powers, paradigms of power, examples, cleaning up class language. Let's drop this into designing unique power gear examples. I'm going to cut that. Resolve, sustain, resolved, power examples. There. We're going to move the examples of... We're going to move that stuff further down. To here. So next time around, we are going to be looking at... we're getting into the monk now. It's been a long time. If you check down the link below, there is the Elemental Key book that I put out. 100% of it's free to view. It is going through revisions, the same as the 5-color mana core mechanics and the tap and tap burn knights and tricksters. I had done some revisions to the mechanics for casting and sustaining spells in those paradigms. The Elemental Key book is going through a similar change right now, so I might actually spend Monday next week revising the Elemental Key book specifically instead of working in this document, because that needs to be updated for me to be able to feed in the rest of the monk stuff. So I think what I'm going to do next week is, like I just said, is I'm going to work on updating the Elemental Key document with you guys here online, and once I'm because I had originally republished the Elemental Key book using the 2, 6, 10, 14, 18 level paradigm for powers, but since I shifted them back to the hybrid 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, I need to go through the Elemental Key book and make those revisions as well to curve out that plane. And I also want to get rid of I've been divorcing untapping from all these books, which also means I can't really call them tap, untap, burn anymore, because I'm dropping untapping from the mechanics in general. So that's a big format change that I'm slowly going through that you'll start seeing, like when this clears my plate, or when the element, or like when the Eberron Adventure and In Command, when those things clear my plate out of my production streams, I'm going to start dropping in the core mechanic reboot. I'm going to drop those into my production time here with you guys. So that's it for today. That's what I got going on. Grab the books for free. Buy some if you want to. I appreciate that. Like, subscribe, share, follow me on Twitter. Definitely follow that Patreon link to get into this playtest content while it's still available, which will admittedly be for a number of months while we continue chewing through the specifics here and just cleaning it up to be the smoothest process possible. And I'll be back. I may be back later on tonight doing some Eberron Adventure map illustrations, or just in general interior art sketches. I'm not 100% sure. I've got some language cleanup that I need to do that was requested by one of the DMs that is playtesting for us starting this week. So that's going to be my highest priority. But if I have bandwidth left over for me to come on and do some mapping, I will do that tonight as well. I will be back again on Thursday. I'll be back on Thursday definitely doing Eberron content. And then I've got playtest stuff on Saturday. And I already have enough playtest stuff prepped in Roll20 that I don't need to spend any prep time on that this week. So I'm not sure what my Friday is going to look like right now, honestly. We'll just leave that open to surprise. So stay tuned. Looking forward to seeing you guys more. Bye.